Tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Well, Jim Gulaskey. I used to be a school teacher in Oregon, and I retired in 1999 and decided to take up more of a physical activity than just sitting around on the couch and watching TV, and wound up getting into running. From there I went to swimming and biking, and eventually went to triathlon. If you come from Oregon, you're always swimming indoors. And so down here, the weather's nice, I get to swim outdoors. I enjoy the people, the pools are not crowded, and it's just a pleasant place to be. I asked a guy one time why he swims here and why he enjoys Laguna Woods, and he said because the whole place is just paradise.
You've got a great stroke. What's it like for people that don't swim to be able to just swim back and forth? How's swimming different from biking and running for you?
Well, most of the time when I'm swimming, I'm probably thinking about my stroke and feeling the glide and trying to improve my stroke a little bit. It's just really relaxing to just get in the water because you don't have the stress on your body that the other sports apply to you. There's always room for improvement, and anything where there's room for improvement is enjoyable because every time you do it, it gives you a little more incentive to do it.
Your wife told me that you're highly competitive. So talk about your competitive nature and how that impacts your swimming, biking, and running.
When you're competitive, it's just in you. I have children, and they are not competitive in the least. With me, everything I do is competition, and that's enjoyable to me. I probably wouldn't do what I do if I wasn't working towards some competitive event, because the adrenaline rush, I don't know what it is, just drives me to do what I do. This is my wife, Lori, and without her, I probably wouldn't be able to do this because she's my biggest supporter. She makes me buy all these expensive bikes and stuff and goes to all the places we need to go. Omaha, Nebraska, everybody wants to go there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wisconsin twice. Yeah, fun.
So
Fun
anyway,
stuff. Okay, thank you.
this is the lady behind the scene.
Right. Thank you.
So let's talk about all these medals. So how many medals do you think he's won over the years?
Oh, probably 400 to 500, I imagine. Because sometimes he gets a finisher's medal and then first place. If he doesn't get first place, then it's not a fun ride home at all. Second place isn't good enough for him. And we can't play dominoes either.
Oh.
He's won all these medals. What's it like after, the 100th medal?
It isn't really any big deal to us to get a medal. I just like to look at them sometimes, and sometimes they come out and they're magnetic and they stick on your refrigerator, and I don't want them on my refrigerator. So that's why we developed this room, and they stay in here. And I don't know. It's not about that. It's about traveling, meeting the people, and going to the places. And the people are so nice that we meet all over the world and everywhere we go. And that's why we like to do it. And of course, he likes to compete, and he does.
Give us a perspective of where you stand in the triathlete world, considering your age and all that. Give us that story.
I started out, I was not a swimmer, a cyclist, or a runner. And I started it because I was probably, when I retired, I was a little bit overweight and probably a little bit, I don't want to say depressed, but I just needed something after I retired, so I started with the athletics. And every one of those, since I hadn't swam or biked, I run a little bit, it really put a challenge there, so I really got into it. Once I got into it and realized I was only competing against people in my age group, then it really gave me incentive to continue with the triathlons and compete. And it has led to some pretty successful events for me.
All right, you're kind of modest now, so let everybody know exactly where you stand in the triathlon world.
Well, last year I was ranked number 4 in the nation. I won the national title, and I won a world title. I've podiumed at every major event that I've gone to. So
And how long have you been podium? What's the span of this where you're doing so well? How many years has that been?
You know, it seemed to come pretty quickly. About my second year into it, I was starting to hit the podium, and from that point on, it just got better and better and better.
How many years has that been in total? When did
I've
you
been
start?
doing this for 15 years.
So say for 13 years you've been on the podium when you do it?
Oh yeah.
That means that puts you in a very elite category, right?
Top 1%.
And how old are you?
72.
So what does it feel like? Because you inspire me. You know, you're thriving as well as anybody can at 72, right? Would you say your life? How is your life with all of the fitness and competition? What's your life like at 72?
If I didn't have the swimming and biking and running and all the activities, I don't think I'd be doing what I would be doing now. Because when I retired, I was sitting on the bed one night, and my legs were flat to the bed. They had atrophied. And I said, this is not going to work. So then I went out and tried running, and it hurt so bad. The backs of my legs hemorrhaged because I had not done anything physical for so long.
Hemorrhage.
And I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I just have never stopped. I did one triathlon, and I was hooked. And you don't have to be the best to enjoy this stuff. There are lots of people that do this for fun.
Right, but we're talking about you now, so let's stick to you.
Yeah.
So, have you ever not podiumed in 13 years?
Probably twice.
Twice. And to do that, it means you've got to be fit. You've got to have your mind right. You've got to have everything together on race day to make that happen, right? So what does it take for you? What do you have to go through so that you are ready for the competition?
I think it's just in me. When I go to a race, I'm there to race. I'm not there to... I do have fun because I have lots of friends, but my purpose is to be the best.
A triathlon, you have to swim, bike, and run, so you can't have any muscle pulls, you can't have the flu, you can't have a cold. You have to be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready for that thing, right?
Yes.
What's bigger than the competition? How do you pull all that in so you can focus for that one intense period?
I guess it's just my desire.
It trumps everything, huh?
Yeah. There are times when I think, oh, maybe I won't do this anymore. I'm a driven person.
But you seem so laid back.
I'm not.
On the inside, you're not. But
On
you
the
you seem very relaxed and friendly and at ease. You're not like, aggressive. But on the inside, you're burning.
Yeah, I'm a very, very intense person when it comes to my competition.
Does that help you relax in your regular life, or are you intense in everything?
I think everything I do, my wife says, we can't even play dominoes with you without being competitive. And
Yeah.
so it's just me. I work on that.
Right, because you don't want to be a jerk, right?
No.
I won! You lost! Okay, so how does the village, how long have you been here in the village?
We first bought a place in 2007. We've been pretty regular now for about 2 years.
How is living here in Orange County in the village, how does that help you with your triathlon activities?
Well, I've learned to relax a little more here because the groups I ride with, the cycling club is wonderful. And they've taught me to actually go out for a bike ride and enjoy myself. We stop for lunch and we have a lot of communication and it's fun. We have a party every year. So I've learned to relax a little bit more. So I have a little balance of the intensity and the relaxing a little bit.
You're 72, so how's your body holding up when you're running? Do you have aches and pains? How are your knees doing? What's it like to run?
I actually feel pretty good for 72, but we all have, at this age, everybody has aches and pains. It's whether or not you want to deal with them. Everybody wakes up in the morning stiff, I would assume. But if I don't feel like going out the door, I just go out the door and I start, and then I'm okay. And if I'm not, I go back home and I'll go another time.
Are you good at the biking? Talk about biking.
Cycling, I had never done it. And so when I started cycling, it was somewhat of a challenge, but now I'm probably one of the better cyclists in my age group. Just because I spend the time and I do the things I need to do. You need to train, and I do.
So give us your training regimen.
Well, for what?
All of it. Like in a week. What do you do in a typical week when you're training for a triathlon?
Depending on what kind of a race it is, for the triathlons, I'll come to the pool 2 or 3 times a week. The biking I'll do 2 or 3 times a week, or maybe more. And the running I've cut down to about 2 days a week just because of my age, and my back hurts. But if I keep the training down on the running, normally I can withstand it a little better. But and there's different types of training. I might go do a bunch of hills one day, or I might just go out on the flats and run, bike.
Vary it.
Mm-hmm.
What about your food? Talk about the kind of food that you eat.
I'm not a big eater, so I pretty much eat when I'm hungry, and I don't eat a lot, but I don't have any special diet. Matter of fact, one of my favorite things to do is to go to Wendy's and Del Taco, and I don't worry about fast food because I don't eat that much of it. But I don't have a special diet that I stick to. I'm just not a big eater because I found that even without a lot of food, I'm still highly competitive. I don't know how much we really need. And as we get older, I really believe we need less calories.
Yeah. And then let's go out into the future. Are you just living in the moment, blessed to run today, swim today, compete today, and take it like that? Or do you have any long-term goals? Do you even think into the future, or is it all just sort of unfolding?
Well, I change age groups when I'm 75, and I'm already thinking about that. I always think into the future, yeah. And but I try to live in the moment, but I can't help but think about what's coming up in the future.
And what happens when you turn 75?
Then I get into the 75 to 79 age group. I'll be the young guy on the block.
You know those guys right now? When do you see them at competitions?
I do. I see a lot of people at competition. So most of them will be gone by the time they're 75, 76. Not very many people around at 75, 76.
And what do you think allows a man to be able to compete at that level into his late 70s?
Genetics.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I have friends with knee operations, shoulder operations. They've got issues, heart operation issues, and I think genetically I'm just blessed.
And then, lastly, what's your advice for somebody in the village that maybe is doing a little bit of weekend warrior stuff and would like to up their game? What advice do you have as far as how they should start if they really want to get fitter and, be awesome?
Come to the pool. The people are friendly, and if you want to bike a little bit, the cycling group here, they cycle quite a few days a week, and you don't have to go every day, but there's slower groups and faster groups, and I think people are intimidated because they say the bicycle club. No, they don't. There's all kinds of levels of cycling, and it's really quite enjoyable. They stop and have coffee at different locations, and it's just, as far as the running, I don't see a lot of people running in here, but you just go out and do it yourself. Or if anybody would like to join me sometime, I would be glad to do that. And there's another thing they do every year that you might enjoy. The senior games, very non-competitive in most cases, unless you get into the tennis and pickleball and stuff. Last year I threw horseshoes. It was fun. They have a basketball shoot. They have all kinds of things. And then they have the Battle of the Fitness Centers. And I just did that. And it's not highly competitive. Anybody can do it, and it's fun. And you meet lots of people.
So there's lots to do in the village.
Oh, yeah.
And then overall, what do you think of this place? Give us your sort of take on Laguna Woods now that you've sort of landed here permanently for the last couple of years.
You probably couldn't get me out here. I really enjoy it in here. I enjoy the people and the activities, and nobody really seems old in here. Everybody seems younger to me. And so for me, it's just like this little paradise that I live in with all the pools and the people. And if you don't have fun in here, then you're not looking for it. I mean, just the walk down by the creek. We have a lot of amenities here. So if anybody's interested in activity, this is the place to be. If you know what, I see people in the gym that just go in there and they might just be on the elliptical going like this. That's all you need to do.
Move.
Yeah, and they might be 93 years old, and that's why they're going like this, but they're in there. It's just come sit by the pool. It's relaxing.
You've been a part of this whole journey, and I want to go back and get all the medals out. Can we pull all the medals out?
No way.
We can't do it?
No, there's
How many
no way.
medals can we pull out?
Maybe 100 out of 500.
Okay, so
That's it.
we could show people 100 of the 500 medals.
Yeah, that's it.
Because how much space does 500 medals take?
2 boxes of about this big, and you can't lift them.
So they're like 50 pounds each, maybe?
Yes, we give them away to little kids. They think they're real neat.
So that's why I'm talking to you. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. You know,
They're
100
not real
pounds of medals.
gold. They're metal. They're just metal.
But it's still 100 pounds of medals that he's won,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And so, you know, he doesn't brag about himself. It's sort of like
No.
he's done this thing that no man has done before, kind of like, do you keep track of the competition?
He does, and therefore, through him, I know the people. And he keeps a little chart, and then I know the people, yes.
Is there anybody, what's the nearest person near him as far as medals and things?
Like Robert Plant, maybe, but he's younger, so we don't have to worry about him yet till he ages up. So he's pretty sunk in there.
So as
Yeah.
far as the triathletes, it's Robert Plant. Does everybody know Jim?
Everybody, yes, everybody knows him. All the younger people come up and they say, "Oh, you're my idol. I want to be like you when I'm your age. This is what I want to do. I want to be able to do this when I'm 72." So it's really neat. Everybody gathers around him, and I just stand in the back, you know.
What kind of questions do they ask?
They ask him how, you know, what do you do? How do you do it? You know, and he wants to help them, you know, and if he sees somebody that's in swimming and their stroke isn't right, then he'll tell them. He'll say, you know, there's something that you could do. He wants to help everybody.
It's the end of a big race and he's won. Is he tired? What, you know?
No, he's pretty pumped, and he's standing around all these guys, all the big boys, all his buddies, and they're all the same guys, and they're all old. And then all the young people come around, and he's pretty much surrounded by people when the race is over, and he's usually not that tired. Sometimes he's exhausted, but he doesn't act like it. He's usually pumped when he finishes the race.
So the adrenaline's going.
Yes, yes.
What about the next morning? What's he like after a big race?
He wants to go and start training again for the next one. He's on to the next one.
Done. Move on.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he's writing down on the back what the time was on his little number, his time, and then he's, you know, documenting what he did and everything, and then he's on to the next and the next and the next. Yes.
Does he ever gloat or brag to you?
Never, 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 never. I'm the one that has to tell people he never has ever in his life said, you know, I'm a world-class triathlete. Never.
Does he fist bump you?
No.
What do you guys do after the win? What's the celebration like?
He's just happy, and he's thinking, and if we drive home in the car, then he's happy, and he doesn't really talk a lot about it. He's always, what he does is he says, you know, what I could have done better is I could have done this, I could have cut my time by this. He's always hard on himself.
So he's analyzing the race
Oh,
right afterwards.
Totally.
Wow. And
Yeah.
what's your role? Do you just sort of take it in and because
I go with it.
just
I have to go with it, and you know, I go and I help him pick up his towels and his shoes, and he rolls the bike with the backpack and everything, and I kind of follow him.
So he's got to have aches and pains. So what's it like in the morning if he does have pain? Does he just ignore it and kind of move through it? Yeah, walk me through that.
Yes, he has aches and pains all the time, and he's had epidurals on his back, and the doctors have told him, you can't do this anymore. You're done. You're finished. Don't even think about it. And that just goes right out his head. He wouldn't think of not doing it. So he had epidurals probably 6 years ago, and he's due about now for more. And so, because of his stenosis in his back, and he's had foot problems and knee, all the things that they all have, but he works through them, and he's really diligent about whatever it is that he needs to do to get through it. And he's had 2 hernia surgeries, never took a pain pill, and like a week after the last hernia surgery, he did a race. Nothing gets in his way. It doesn't matter what it is. I haven't seen anything get in his way yet. No matter what I do, no matter what the doctor said, it doesn't make any difference.
It's like a machine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He doesn't listen to anybody. He just does it. And he goes through the pain. And that's what he wants to do. Go through the pain.
And how does the village help the both of you, thrive and live this kind of unique lifestyle?
This is the only place to be. This is it. This is Mecca, because he gets to swim, bike, and run, and do his thing. And he has 2 bike clubs here that he can go with, or he can go on his own. Go to the beach. He can go up to the mountains. He can bike anywhere he wants. Swim every single day of the year, and run anywhere he wants. I walk 3 miles a day, and I belong to I go meditate. I do yoga with the yoga group. There's swimming. There's there's so much to do here. If you don't do something here, there's something wrong. There's so much to do here. We belong to the rock and rollers, so we go out dancing. They satellite in Saddleback Church. We go to that. I mean, every day there's something to do, and we're involved in all of it. And he gets to do his thing alongside, so I'm busy constantly. And we've made tons of friends in here that do the same thing that he does, a little bit of it. They run, and he can run. They bike, and he can bike. They swim. He meets swimmers, bikers, and runners. They don't do all of it, but...
And then, if I ask how old you are?
72. Oh, no, he's 72. I'm 70.
70.
Sorry.
Now, you look fabulous for 70, right?
Thank you.
Are people amazed when you tell them how old you are?
Sometimes. It's genetics. If you would have seen my grandmother at 92, you wouldn't have known she was 92 either.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're walking and you're fit.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just sitting on the couch.
Oh, no. I don't want to get up and walk. That's not what I want to do. He wants to do all the stuff he wants to do. I don't want to. For anybody that's in Laguna Woods that doesn't want to get off the couch, you just have to get up and do it. I make myself do it. I make myself get up and walk the 3 miles every day. I go down by Aliso Creek and walk, and I have a little pattern that I walk every day, and I make myself do it, and then get in the pool. I do like that, but
And why do you make yourself do that?
Well, so I'll stay for my cardio, for my health, for my heart, and my veins. And I've seen other people that do sit on the couch, and what happens to them? They atrophy.
When you're in a race, you're with all ages, right? And there might be, what's the range of people that compete? Like, is it 50, 100, 500, 1,000? What's the range of the events that you compete in?
Sometimes there's 200 people, sometimes there's 2,000 people, just depending on what event it is. Maybe even more than 2,000. Nationals was 5,000 people.
5,000 people. So you don't know that you're in first place in your age category, right?
No.
So is it all based on your watch and the timing, and I need to hit this mark in order to win? Or how do you know whether you need to speed up because there's a guy ahead of you?
You know what you do? You just do your best in all 3, the swim, the bike, the run, and hope when it's all over that you were the best overall.
You keep it clean, simple.
Yeah, you can't figure it out. You can't figure out who's in front of you and who's behind you.
You don't worry about it.
No.
Just do your best. let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
What's it like when you hit the tape at the end?
The first time I ever did it, I sprinted to the finish line, and an old timer told me, he says, that's just like a runner sprinting for the finish line. Unless you have to sprint for the finish line, you don't normally do that. Now, if you've got a competitor next to you, yes, you're going to sprint.
Has that ever happened where you were neck and neck with a guy?
Oh, yeah.
Was that fun?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking, one guy raced, we did 3 events together, big events, and there was less than 30 seconds between all the victories. I mean, we were that close, total.
So that was like your closest competitor all these years?
Yeah.
Was that? Is that guy still racing?
He still races. I only see him at the national events and the world events.
Okay. But that's your competition when you get there, like this guy's probably the one that I got to beat?
Yeah, but now there's some other guys that have come up, the younger guys, the 70-year-olds.
The young 70-year-olds,
Yeah.
huh? Do you guys kind of do any pre-race psych-outs, or is it all kumbaya at the beginning and at the end?
You talk. I would like to talk more and be friendlier, but I'm so focused. But yeah, you might say something like, yeah, I just haven't been feeling that well, and I just don't know how I'm going to do today. And it may be a lie, it may not be. But you know, that does have an effect on people.
It does, right?
Yeah.
And then do you guys go out for beers afterwards? The guys in your category?
You know, normally after it's all over, everybody has to get their bike out of transition. Everybody goes back to their hotels or whatever. And now there's usually a place where you can have something to eat afterwards and drink and stuff. But no, not normally. It doesn't come to that.
Okay, so you guys are like lone wolves then.
Yeah. Triathletes are pretty much loners.
You kind of seem like a Brett Favre type to me, you know. Easy one guy, but you know he's in the NFL for 17 years or whatever it was. Super competitive. You know, there's a lot of pressure on him. Your pressure is what you just put on yourself, right? Nobody, your wife isn't saying you better win or I'm going to divorce you or something.
Oh God, no.
We need the money.
Yeah, there's no money involved. We spend a lot of money doing it, or I spend a lot of money doing it.
It's not a cheap hobby.
No, not at all.
Obviously, the rewards are worth it.
Oh, for me, they are.
Right, give me a scenario. Do you have a favorite race that you can kind of talk about as far as the best race you ever had? That's my last question.
I really don't know what my favorite race would be.
No standout, huh? Like Hawaii, or is there a certain place that was like?
I'm trying to think of a venue that I really like. I do like Sun River, Oregon. They have a race up there every year, and you ride up around Mount Bachelor, and you come down and you run around the resort, and it's a real festive weekend because there'll be so many people there because they have so many different events. And so I do like that race, but there's a lot of races that I really like. I'm going down, I think I'm going to go to Fiesta Island this weekend for a race down San Diego, Mission Bay. It's just all good.